So I previously talked about knowing I was trans from about the age of 3. But what happened next? Why did it take until I was 25 to come out if I knew at the age of 3? Today we're going to talk about how multiple experiences in my elementary school years told me really that it just wasn't okay to be myself, experiences that ultimately delayed my gender transition. I would describe my early years as always hanging out with the girls, but never really being one of the girls, wishing I was one of the girls, but never being seen as one of the girls, kind of being in this weird in-between area. You know, I think when I was 6, 7 years old, I didn't really process all of that. It was kind of just like, I'm friends with these girls, everything's fine. And I think that's because we hadn't yet got to the point of where puberty happens in middle school and high school, and everything gets complicated, especially when you try to hang out with people that are a different gender than what they think you are, and it is a problem for some reason because we're socialized to gender segregate everything. But I digress. You know, I don't remember her exact name. For some reason I want to say her name was like Madeline, something like that. She was one of my closest friends in like 1st and 2nd grade, but people frequently tease me for that because it's like, oh my god, are you two in love? Are you two making out? All this stupid stuff. She has cooties. Why would you do this? And I'm just like, y'all are dumb. Like, why can't I just be friends with her? But eventually, you know, those voices of getting picked on and bullied, they get to you after a while. You know, especially when I was young and impressionable, like most, I think, 6 and 7-year-olds are, where, you know, if you get enough messages from the world around you that something you're doing isn't right, you're gonna start believing that it's not right. And that's kind of exactly what happened. It wasn't okay for me to, like, just be friends with her. You know, I either had to, like, separate myself from her or date her, and I'm like, really want to do either of those. Why is there no other option here? And also, like, I'm fucking 6. Like, why the fuck does this fucking matter? I mean, that's the thought process I imagine I would have had if I knew what I knew now back then. Like, why does this fucking matter? And that would have made things so much easier if I had that more confident mentality. And I think I did have that confident mentality, like I said, for like those first couple years. But starting sometime 2nd grade, really 3rd grade, where I was really getting these signals where being like an emotional child, being effeminate, all of this was not okay for somebody that the world saw as a boy. I really started caring what other people thought when I learned it really wasn't okay to cry, wasn't okay to express my emotions, kind of that stereotypical thing that I think a lot of trans women go through, where it causes us to repress our emotions. It causes some of us to even try to overcompensate, try to over-masculinize how we act and look. You know, I didn't really do that. I just kind of repressed and isolated. I didn't really try to overcompensate. I kind of just drew away from everything. You know, looking back, it seems silly, but in 2nd grade, I remember a time at recess where running around, and what happens? I slip and fall in mud and I cry. I'm upset. And really nobody comes to help me. I have to kind of just sulk to the office to get a change of clothes. And I just hated the stupid outfit that they gave me. It felt like I was super upset and I felt super embarrassed, but nobody really reassured me that, like, hey, this is okay that this happens. It's silly, you'll be fine. Let's get you cleaned up, boom. But I think it got even worse when other students really started picking on me. You know, this was just a dumb accident. And I will forever remember this awful story. It was just so stupid and so mean. Because I think my classmates knew I was kind of a crybaby. Sue me. I cry all the time now because I'm like fucking fine with it and finally secure about the emotions that I have and also expressing those emotions. But, you know, that took a long time. We're sitting in the breezeway. Either it was before or right after recess, and some students thought it would be funny to put this nasty giant bug into my clothes. Understandably. I mean, the thing was like probably this fucking big. It might have already been dead, but regardless, it was fucking terrifying. I don't even know what the hell it was. And yeah, of course, I freaked out when I noticed it and felt it. I freaked out. I stood up. I yelled. I cried. You know, this is again just another situation where instead of people helping me, people just fucking made fun of me. You know, the teacher didn't help. None of my classmates helped. Most of my classmates were laughing at me. At the time, I don't think I really understood what was going on, but thinking back, it's like, this is one of those crucial moments, one of those formative experiences that tells me, like, I'm doing certain things that are frowned upon because of how the world sees me, because of how I show up in the world. The world sees me as a boy. I'm expressing lots of feminine emotions. So stupid. The world would be such a better place if we could just fucking get over ourselves and be okay with expressing emotions, men especially, or people that are perceived to be men who maybe later come out as another gender. It's so stifling and so problematic. But we teach people that it's okay to berate and make fun of people for just being more vulnerable and expressing their emotions. You know, this is, I think, when I gradually started getting more reserved, you know, talking less, just feeling like I really didn't fit in. Like, okay, it's not okay for me to hang out with the girls. It's not okay for me to express my emotions. It's not okay for me to cry in front of everyone else. Nobody's gonna help me when I'm in these situations. So maybe I shouldn't do it because there's nothing good that comes out of it. It's embarrassing and people make fun of me. Yeah, this is fucking great. I'm opening myself up to being bullied. Why would I want to keep doing this? And I didn't know what else to do, so let me just be quiet. Let me just take that part away and not really replace it with anything else. You know, I really just, I guess, funneled myself into my schoolwork and really started funneling myself into video games because it's like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I was terrible at this whole thing called, like, interacting with people without it turning into an ordeal. And this was still happening throughout the entirety of elementary school. Like, you know, I remember one specific case, I think in 5th grade, where, you know, just playing some basketball with the boys because, you know, I was pressured into playing basketball throughout my whole childhood because I'm really tall. And that was great. One of the reasons I fucking hate the sport now, because I never got any passion or fulfillment out of it, and I was forced to do it. But I didn't feel like I was in a place to stand up and say otherwise. There was a kid in my class that, for lack of a better word, was just kind of a jerk, kind of a bully. I was beating him in basketball and he got mad at me and he pushed me to the ground. I scraped my knees and elbows, I was bleeding. I cried and walked away and not a single person helped me. And some of them even laughed at me and I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Like, sorry, I'm not supposed to cry because you see me as a boy, but it's just, you know, clearly I'm hurting. Can we teach people to actually have a little bit of fucking empathy? You know, I think we're getting better now than where we were back then, because that was, you know, 20 years ago that happened. You know, at the same time, I was just really feeling that, like, I couldn't hang out with the girls. I wasn't fitting in the boys because I couldn't express myself. But even more than that, this was a time where, like, boys were starting to talk about other girls, who was hot and this and that, and I don't really want to talk about this. I didn't understand it at the time, but I think part of me was just like, I don't see this fascination with sexualizing girls and sexualizing women. Like, I don't see this fascination with this. But, of course, I wanted to fit in. I was tired of getting made fun of and tired of not having friends. So, yeah, I just eventually lied because for a while I was getting made fun of because I didn't really have an opinion or didn't really want to talk about it. And I'm like, you know, they're going to think I'm gay. Because, you know, that's the worst thing in the world. This is exhausting, recording this and thinking about this all again, but, you know, I share this because I think it's important to let people know how formative some of those early childhood experiences are in telling us what's right and wrong, and how damaging they can be to people like ourselves that are different, but we're just trying to be ourselves. Like, trans people are different. We are a minority population by far. Because we stand out, because we're different in ways that are not seen as normal according to, like, social expectations, that shit often gets bullied out of us. It's so important for us to have those people in our lives that know better, that are like, maybe I don't understand what you're going through, but I accept you for you. You know, I can't imagine how much easier my childhood would have been in some ways and harder in other ways, but if I could have just really been myself, you know, if it was fine for me to be effeminate, if I didn't have to fake being a boy, and because I was really bad at faking it, I just became more and more distant. I don't know what to do. So I'm just gonna sink into my own little corner and hope a good person comes by and invites me into their circle, because it never works when I try to invite myself into their group. I mean, moral of the story, just like treat people with compassion, people who are different, like just let people be. I think a lot of us can probably relate to having some of these negative experiences early in life where we're told that like it's not okay to be ourselves because being ourselves looks so much different than what people expect from us. So I think I'll stop it there for today, and I'll kind of start going into my high school, teenage experiences as I continue this sort of series. But I'd be curious to hear your reactions in the comments below. Can you relate to these experiences? Did you have these experiences growing up where people either directly or indirectly told you that you couldn't be yourself? And wondering, how did that impact how you related with your trans identity, how you came out, even when you came out? As always, thank you so much for watching. Tipsy and I, of course, love you all so very much, and hope that you're staying happy, healthy, and safe as much as you can during this tough time. If you have not done so already, please give this a thumbs up. Please share, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Bye for now.